to the Daddy Issues podcast with Danny D, where we take a deep dive into the everyday lives of men who are fathers and husbands, their day-to-day struggles with mental health, fatherhood, finances, fitness, and how they build and maintain healthy relationships on a daily basis. So join us each week as we interview different men and get their perspectives on different topics, and also what they feel like they have to do every day to become the best version of themselves. So, if you're not too busy, let's get started. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me for another edition of Daddy Issues Podcast. I'm your boy. I'm your host, Danny D. Nice to see you, man. Look at you. Look at you. You made it to episode 8. I'm proud of you. I just learned something about you. You ain't gonna quit. You not gonna quit, are you? You gonna keep getting up every day, challenging me, pushing me. I didn't think you were gonna be here today. I was betting against you. I said, oh, there's no way they're gonna show up for episode 8 of Daddy Issues Podcast. But look at you, I'm a fucking scumbag. I bet against you and I lost, and I'm proud that I lost. Because you're amazing. You're handsome. You're beautiful. You're strong. You're brilliant. Look at that swag. Just looking at you making me smile. So guess what? If somebody hasn't told you today, I want to be the first person to tell you. I'm proud of you. I'm truly proud of you. You keep fighting. Life is beating the shit out you. It's rolling those eyes in the back of your damn head every day. But guess what? You keep getting up, man. You keep getting up. Thank you. So, like I said, man, it's episode 8 of season 1. We're moving right along. We're chugging along in this podcast, and I'm enjoying it, man. Like I said, we're on a video podcast now, man. We're living in 2035. Fucking cars are flying outside, right? Gas stations in the sky. We're living on the cutting edge here, man. We got plants back there. I changed the light color. I know you guys like the purple, man. I know you like the purple, but you know what? Some people in the email suggested that I change the color, man, and you mad about it. Look how mad you just got. You got that mad over a light. Man, you pissing me off. But you can always write in and tell me about it at dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. And we're on everything. Every platform. Apple, Google, YouTube, Spotify. Shout outs to Spotify. So you ain't got no excuse. I'm talking to you. You ain't got no excuse. Share my shit. Like my shit. Y'all pissing me off today. And we've only been on the podcast for 5 minutes. I think we got a good show today, guys. I think we got a touchy subject show today. Right? I think this podcast today is gonna put wait a minute. Excuse me. Let me grab my drink. Yeah. A little AMSR, baby. Listen. Can y'all hear that? Today we're drinking watermelon IV packets out of a kid's cup. It's my son's cup we got from the movies. Now listen to me drink. That's good. Refreshing. Man, I'm about to... Listen, man, look out for my little AMSR channel, man. It's coming soon. No, not really, man. That's not my bag, man. So, sorry I had to get some liquids in me, man. My throat was parched like I just ate a Popeye's biscuit. But like I said, man, I feel like we got a good show. We got a touchy show. We got a sad show today, man. I need to center myself. I need to get serious on this one, right? I need to calm down a little bit. Because it's going to trigger some people. But I think the subject that we're talking about today really needs to be talked about. And I know I'm going to get some emails about it. Because it's going to seem like this episode is slanted one way today. But it's slanted that way for a reason. Because this particular subject when it comes to men is not spoke about enough. And today we're talking about domestic violence. Domestic violence. It's a touchy subject. I know a lot of women are abused, but guess what? A lot of men are abused too. A lot of people are fighting. A lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are hiding it. A lot of people are afraid to speak up. But that's why we have this platform. That's why we have this podcast, so we can speak up. We can talk about it. We can have those hard conversations. So, let me pull up the email. Let me just pull the email up. Dear Daddy Issues Podcast, I'm reaching out to you because I'm in a tough spot. My name is Adam and I'm 27, and I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. I've been with my parents. I've been with my partner for 6 years, but things have taken a turn for the worst. When she gets angry, it's like a tornado tearing through our home. She lashes out verbally, sometimes physically, and I feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time. I've tried to leave, but she always finds a way to pull me back in with threats and promises that things will change. I'm scared of what might happen if I try to break free, but I'm even more scared of staying and losing myself completely. I'm hoping someone out there has been through something similar and can offer me some advice or guidance. I feel like I'm drowning, and I don't know how much longer I can keep my head above water. Thanks for listening, Adam. Man, that's a tough email, Adam. That's a rough email, man. First of all, Adam, I want to say I appreciate you writing into the show, man. I appreciate you taking your time to drop me an email. Think about me. Think about the listeners. Trying to find advice. Remember, that's the first avenue to healing. Is trying to find a result. Trying to find a way to, stop whatever the issue is. Now, in your particular situation, man, violence is tough, man. Violence is super tough, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's a lot harder and I know people are gonna be upset about this, but domestic violence is a lot harder on men. It happens more often to women, 100%, but it's a lot harder when it comes to men. When I say harder, I mean not like even that too. The physical aspects are more elevated, right? Because us as men, we're physically stronger, so we can take more punishment, we can take more hits, we can take more verbal abuse. But when I say it's like harder, I mean even in the court system. Just in society in general, just think about it. So, and I come across this a lot. So when a woman, comes out and, says that her spouse, her significant other, her man is abusing her, whether it be verbally or physically, the whole world stops. The whole world stops. The whole world listens. The whole world cries. There's different programs and, different avenues that this woman can find to be, and it's great. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's awesome. It's unbelievable that they're able to have those avenues to deal with that pain and that trauma, right? Because when a woman says she's being abused and she's going through pain like that, everybody listens. It's important. And I don't think that just stems from, a sexist issue or just women are looked at more important. Like I stated earlier, women have been going through verbal abuse, physical abuse for years. Mental torture for years. And we're talking about there was no avenues back then. There was no ways of communication besides them sitting down with another woman who's also being abused and venting to them. So they, once it became prevalent and, it became more known and it became unacceptable in society to strike a female or hit a woman, because it didn't used to be like that. It used to be like, hey, oh, you hit your wife, or the wife comes to the table with a black eye, like, oh man, what did she do? It wasn't a conversation of, man, I can't believe you did that. Why Why would you hit a woman? It was more of a discussion of, she must have messed up. Even the abusee, the woman herself was felt that way. Like, oh yeah, they make excuses. Like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, or I was talking back, or I didn't have his dinner ready, or I know better than that. So there is a social construct for women when it comes to that's slanted more towards women when it comes to physical abuse, emotional abuse, just domestic situations in general. Now, when it comes to men, that's a whole different ball of wax. First and foremost, when you look at the society aspects of abuse when it comes to men, it's frowned upon. Not because the man's getting abused. If the man speaks up, it's frowned upon. You may hear things like, just imagine going to talk to somebody. I'm not talking about seeking professional opinions or, going to we'll get to the police aspects, but not going to somebody who's an advocate for abuse. But I'm just mean like your friend. You're just sitting in a locker room or something talking, and I've had these conversations with people. Yeah, man, my girl's wilding out on me, man. She took my PlayStation and threw it against the wall, man, and smacked me in the side of the face. Lots of times you actually hear laughter. Man, what? Oh, that's crazy, man. Y'all wilding in there, man. Y'all wilding in there. Or it's like, man, what are you talking about? You're a man, like, suck it up. What are you talking about? You even get some guys that would just tell you to deck her. Like, oh man, hit her back. Hit her back. Oh, I wouldn't have stood for that. I would have dropped her. So just right out the gate, when we start talking about domestic violence when it comes to men, we're already behind, right? We don't have that support system when it comes to domestic violence that women does. We don't, and that's partly our fault. I would actually go as far as saying it's the majority of our fault, because men are good for this. We don't communicate our feelings well. We're calculated in our processes and things that we do, and we don't live off of emotion like most women do. But when it comes to males and communicating themselves, their emotions and things like that, we're horrible at it. We're terrible at it. We keep everything bottled inside, and that's partly because of society. You can't be a man out here crying. You can't be a man out here wearing your heart on your sleeve. You can't be a man out here seeking help. What you talking about? What you mean you depressed? Take a nap. What you mean you sad? Man, come on, stop playing with me. Those are the responses you get. And a lot of men already understand that. We already understand where that starting position is. So why bother? We don't even go into it. Like in Adam's case, I'm assuming from the email that it's escalated, man. Just listen to some of the things this man said in an email. Threats and violence. Things are getting broken. So he's already on 10. His situation is at 10 already. And I'm sure this is not his first avenue of trying to seek help. I'm sure typically, when these situations happen, the law's already been involved several times. So it's a bad situation for men when it comes to domestic violence, because we're on a lower rung, right? So we don't have that help that women have. We don't have that avenue. We don't have advocates lined out the door. We don't have beautiful places that will take you in and help you and find other agencies and things like that, and find you places to stay and ways for you to get out of the situation you're in. So we don't bother. But it happens. It happens a lot. In my past, I've been in abusive relationships like that. And I know that sounds wild. Just saying that out loud just sounds crazy. Like I've been in abusive relationships. I got a story to tell. And that's just even me internally processing it as I'm saying it. It sounds crazy to me, even though I'm telling you guys, the facts of these things. It just sounds crazy. When you think about it, man, society in general asks men to take on a lot. They ask men to take on a shitload of stuff, you know. And we're talking about societal standards here, so a man is supposed to be responsible for taking care of his family, being the head of the household, providing financial stability for the household, not complaining about things, being the problem solver. That's a big one, being the problem solver. And being able to take abuse. And I'm not just talking about in a domestic relationship, I'm talking about in life. A man is supposed to be able to take a licking and keep on ticking, if you ever heard that. You're supposed to be able to go get abused at fucking work, and come home and get abused, and then go out on the streets and get abused. You're a man, you're strong, you're supposed to be able to take all that. Suicide rates are higher in men than in women by 70%. Think about that, 70% higher. A man is more likely to kill himself than a woman is. And that's not just because of, just look at all the hats we gotta wear. Look at the hats we gotta wear. I just named them, being the provider, financially, almost being the glue of the household, being the problem solver, being able to take massive amounts of abuse, physical and verbal. Of course that makes a man want to put a fucking gun in his mouth and check out. But again, it comes to we don't have that foundation. We don't have those structures put in place. And if we do have those structures, because they're out there, there's avenues out there, there's different people you can talk to, right? But again, we always invert to ourselves, and our inner thoughts win, and we don't have those hard conversations, so we fold. We fold in our mind. Like even Adam's email, you can hear in his email that he's not fully convinced. He knows something is going on. He knows that it's not good. And he knows he has to leave. He knows he has to get out of there. But it's something pulling at him. It's that responsibility, that sense of being a man. And I do air quotes when I say being a man. It tugs on you, man. And even in relationships in general, man, when you're in a relationship and you've been in a relationship for a long time, man, you love that person, right? You learn to adapt to certain situations. You learn to put up with certain things, right? And unfortunately, some people, men and women, decide to put up with abuse, whether it be verbal or physical. They feel like it's just a part of the everyday process of being in a relationship, and usually that stems from them seeing that when they're growing up. That's why having a two-parent household with positivity is so important when it comes to raising children. Not the toxicity that most relationships have now. And think about that, already having toxic relationships, and then you're bringing a child into the situation is beyond me. But most people who end up in abusive relationships like that accept it. We're not talking about the people who don't accept it. Because there's some people who just immediately like, what the fuck are you doing? You don't put your hands on me, and they're done right there. But most people who willingly accept that abuse, they've seen it. They've been through traumatic experiences in their life growing up. They've seen their mother go through it. They've seen their mom get the shit beat out of her for years, or they've seen their father get the hell beat out of them for years. So it's a comfortable situation, if that makes sense. It feels natural to them. Oh, this is how relationships are. Oh, your man doesn't hit you? Oh, your woman doesn't hit you? I've even heard people go as far as to say, like, oh man, your relationship ain't good if y'all ain't wilding out on each other, if you ain't breaking things. Think about that, man. Think about the level of toxicity in that relationship. I can't even see it. I can't even do it. Right? And when I was in a relationship like that, it wasn't even extreme as Adam's was. It was just like a moment or or an issue, and things got heated and I got hit, and I was like, I couldn't even process it. That relationship was done that day. I couldn't even process it. But some people on a daily basis, they live under that pressure. Think about that. They actually thrive under that pressure. That's what they're used to. It's comfortable. It's natural. And I think the comfort and natural part is leaning more towards women, right? When it comes to men in abuse, it's more, I'm going to put up with it. I'm a man, I'm strong. I need to prove that I'm strong, right? For women, it's more, I don't have a choice. This is the way my relationship is. And that's sad. That's a sad thing to go through, man. Think about the mindset, how broken of a mindset that a person has to be comfortable with abuse. To justify it even. Go as far as justifying it. Like, hey, this is how life is. He still loves me. She still loves me. Sometimes you may even hear people say, oh, that's how they show they love me. Sometimes people are so broken in relationships, they just want to invoke any emotion. Any emotion is, to them, a sign of love. Because they're so starved of emotion. They're so starved of affection that they're willing to accept any emotion. Whether that's, hitting, screaming. Oh, you know what? It's an emotion. At least he's showing me something. At least she's showing me something. And that type of mindset doesn't just happen overnight, right? That type of mindset doesn't just start one day. Like, oh yeah, I'm an abuse victim. This is my life now. No. Even in Adam's email, he says 6 years. 6 years, man. 6 years of physical violence. 6 years of verbal abuse. And if we're getting into the aspects of just words, we're not even getting to the physical part yet. The things that someone with that type of somebody with that type of mentality, and I'm talking about the abuser, the things they're willing to say, how far they're willing to go, right? Because it starts with grooming. Abusers, and we're talking about like physical, sexual abuse, any type of abuse, that person just doesn't pop his cherry that time. Like, this is my first time doing this ever. It's a progression. They groom, they find out what they can get away with. They start with maybe some yelling, some screaming, some hurtful words. Then it escalates. It always escalates. And always escalates. And always escalates. And it's not fair on either side. And coming back to men in abuse, we're back on. It's not talked about enough. It's not. It's just. I mean, we're just being honest. If you talk to 10 women and ask them for an abuse story, whether it's their personal lives or someone that they knew, it's going to be women. They're going to tell you a story about a woman, a friend, a family member that they knew that went through abuse. And that makes sense because it is more, like I said, prevalent in women's situation. But no one looks on the other side. No one talks about men getting abused. There's thousands of relationships where men are abused and they're treated like dog shit. And like I said, it starts from the ground, right? It starts from having that support system. We got to work on that support system. Men have to be better at communicating their emotions, talking about what's happening. And that's not just in domestic violence. That's with anything. There's also tons of men who have been sexually abused in their lifetime. Think about that. But you would never know. They go through life just holding on to that. Sickness. I know in a couple episodes ago we talked about finding the extension and the cause of sickness. And to elaborate on that, you're sick, right? You're sick, you don't feel good, you're coughing. Your cough is an extension of your sickness. You're throwing up. Your throwing up is an extension of your sickness. You have to find the core. You have to find the sickness itself. What's causing it to be able to heal it. And once it's healed, all those extensions will go away. And typically an abuser has a sickness. I'm not saying it's like a sickness like cancer or anything like that. But something's traumatic has happened to them. Typically, they grew up watching their mom beat or their father beat. They grew up in getting sexually abused, molested. Something traumatic has changed that person's character dramatically. And they feel that this is how life is supposed to be. They feel like this is what's normal. This is what's comfortable. Think about that, man. To live in that type of situation and be comfortable. You know how broke down your mind has to be, how low self-esteem, how just terrible you have to just feel to be comfortable in a situation like that. It's terrible, man. But a lot of men and women go through it every single day. Your coworkers, your family members, your friends, people that you interact with every single day. And it's great. Like I said, it's great that women have these outlets. I'm so glad that society is so women driven now, right? They're so empowered. There's so many avenues. There's so many agencies. There's so many different things that women can do to be able to get their voice out, to be able to be heard. And women care. That's one thing I will say about women. They care about other women. And men, we care in our own way, right? But our end result is never as beneficial as when a woman does something, if that makes sense. Women are good on acting on what they're talking about. If a woman tells another woman, you need to get out of this situation, I'm going to help you get out of it, they help them get out of it. They come up with solutions. Sometimes they may be crazy. It may not always be the most positive solutions, but they're moving on action. They're taking action on it. Men, we attempt to do the same thing, but we don't act on it. Your friend is, man, you got to get out of that situation. That's crazy. And that's it. That's as far as it goes. That's as far as it goes, guys. We got to get better. We got to get better. We got to get better. We're never going to have that first level of that social construct that women have when it comes to domestic violence. That voice. If we don't get better at conveying over emotions, if we don't get better at talking about this type of stuff, these hard conversations like we talk about, the hard conversations, where a man can just say, man, listen, I'm getting the fuck beat out of me, and it's not okay. This is what this person is doing to me. We have to start putting a stop to the stigma of it. We're just men, and it's okay to go through this stuff. No, it's not. If someone says that, like, oh, hey, you're a man, like, get over it. Like, what do you want us to do? No, it's not okay. We need to be okay saying that. Like, no, what are you talking about? It's not okay. We have to push the issue in the envelope more. We can't be mad at women for that. We can't be mad because they've built that groundwork. They've been better at speaking out and getting their voices out there and being heard. We got to quit holding these things inside. And Adam, this is a rough situation you're in, man. And I know you love this woman, man. I know you love her, man. 6 years. We talked about this in a previous podcast. The investment. You have the investment. Most people are scared to leave relationships that are toxic because they're scared of losing their investment. Yeah, it sucks because you're going through a breakup or you're going through a hard time in real time, so you're experiencing it, but that's not what's preventing you from leaving. What's preventing you from leaving a toxic, abusive relationship is the investment. Because in your mind, you believe there's still value in that relationship. Even though you're getting abused, even though you're mentally broken, you're verbally beat down, you still believe that you have an investment worth staying for. And our minds do that to us. We can be and really it's a coping mechanism when you think about it. Whenever you're in an uncomfortable situation or you're in a bad spot, your mind immediately tries to come up with ways to make that spot less uncomfortable. Oh yeah, I know she hit you, but it didn't really hurt. I know she broke that, man, but it wasn't that much really. It was only a couple $100. You don't play it anyways, right? Yeah, I know she's screaming at me and yelling at me and calling me names, but I am kind of lazy. Your mind is trying to create an environment for you to be more comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. We have to prevent that. We have to stop that. I know you have an investment. I know that you love this woman. But at this point, Adam, you're in love with the woman who she used to be. You're in love with the idea of who she used to be. You're in love with the woman you fell in love with. Think about that. You're in love with the woman that you fell in love with. This fucking Frankenstein in front of you, this monster that's verbally abusing you and calling you names and making you feel worthless and physically abusing you, you're not in love with that person. I know your mind is trying to come up with these situations for you to be able to cope with this situation, but it's not healthy, man. It's toxic. Like I say all the time, if you have to take parts and pieces from yourself to feed to somebody to make them feel better about themselves, that's toxicity at its highest level, man. You can't live like that. It's unsustainable because you only have so many parts and pieces, and I promise you, that person will just keep coming and taking and taking and taking, taking and taking until you're just a shell of yourself. And right now, Adam, you're a shell of yourself. You're at your wit's end. You're frustrated. You're scared. You want to leave. I can tell from your email, you want to get out there. But that investment and that societal stigma is keeping you there. That title, man, you're a man. You're strong. You can work through this. You can get through it. Your mind is creating those environments for you to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, and that's toxic. That's not good, man. Because typically, domestic violence just escalates. It escalates. It never de-escalates unless there's a negative effect that comes from it. When I say that, I mean like the person goes to jail or that something bad happens to them because of their actions. And usually even then it doesn't stop. There's a temporary hold on it. But it's going to continue. And it's not okay, Adam. It's not okay. Because she's a woman, it's not okay. Just because she's less strong than you, or the hits don't hurt as much, or the word you can handle the verbal abuse doesn't make it okay. It's not okay, man. It's not okay, Adam. It's not. You got to get out of that relationship, man. And I know you're losing an investment. I know you're losing 6 years. But at this point, you're losing memories, man. You're losing moments. Because the situation you're in now, that's not the woman that you initially fell in love with. She's gone, man. She's gone. She's out of there. And right now, you're still in love with the idea she can be who she used to be. She needs help, man. She needs help, and you got a decision to make. Yeah, you can stick around and hope things get better, or you can leave. And I know you said in the email that you're scared what's going to happen if you don't leave. Look at you, man. Look at you. You're mentally drained. You're scared. You're scared. You're literally scared. And we all know that trick, man. I know when you try to walk away, because you said you tried to walk away several times. Oh, I'm gonna kill myself. Oh, you want to leave? Oh, you're not leaving me. And the abuser just tries to create so much havoc that you just say, you know what, forget it. It's not worth it. It's more comfortable being here than trying to get out of the situation. And I've said it before, man. And it just doesn't apply to, trying to overcome goals or challenges. But pain, pushing through it, working through it, creates growth. And this is the same situation, man. You leaving a situation like this is creating growth. It's creating those file folders in your head. Something that you can take from this bad relationship when you leave, because Adam, you need to leave, is now you have that file folder in your head of what you will not tolerate anymore. And you have to stand on that. Just like I was just talking about earlier in the show about men saying things and thinking things, but not acting. You have to act on it, man. You have to say to yourself, I'm never going back to a situation like that, and stand on it. Have a standard. Build that groundwork, man. This is what I believe. This is how I'm going to act in every relationship. This is what I'm not going to tolerate. And if you see those signs, those red flags, get out. Get out. Don't allow yourself to become a victim, even though you're a victim. If that makes sense. Don't allow yourself to become a victim, even though you're a victim. Yeah, you're a victim in this relationship. But you don't have to be a victim forever. You don't have to go into the next relationship with that abused mentality that, this is how relationships are. Because even though you don't know it, you're building groundwork, man. That's not positive. You're becoming that story in the beginning, Adam. The going through abuse and believing it's okay. Because once you go through it enough, you become callous to it. And that's with anything. Like I said, it's your mind. Your mind starts to create this construct of reasons why it's okay. Reasons why you shouldn't leave. Reasons why you don't need to leave. You got to get out of that relationship, man. You got a hard conversation to have. You got a hard conversation to have. One, you need to look up some resources, Adam. I'm going to email you. I'm going to give you some resources personally that I know. We'll have some private conversations, but you got to start by looking at your resources. You got to start by trying to reach out to people. Let them know what's going on, man. Then you got to have that hard fucking conversation, man. And it's probably going to be one of the hardest conversations that you had in your life. But you got to tell this woman, man, I'm gone, man. I'm leaving. I can't handle this no more. You need to get help. There is no gray area, Adam. There is no in between. There's either this or that. That's it. Either you get help for your problem because you got a problem. You have an issue that you need to deal with, or I'm gone. I'm leaving. I don't believe in the email you spoke about children, but if you have kids, man, it's not healthy, man. It's not. None of this shit is healthy, Adam. You got to get out, man. And to be honest, man, I'm so glad that you wrote this email today. And I know that it was hard for you writing that email. Seeing those words on that paper, or when you're typing those words, you're repeating them in your head and you're reading it. It had to sadden you, man. It had to sicken you. It had to break your heart, man. That has come to this. But you need change, man. And change creates growth, man. Stress creates growth. You need to get out of there. But you know what, Adam? I want to say this, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'm honest to God, I'm proud of you, man. I know that 6 years is a long fucking time to be going through something like this, man. It's like being in prison for 6 years. But the great thing is, Adam, you got the key. You got the key to your own prison, man. You're not trapped. It may feel like it. It may feel like the world is just closing in on you and there's nobody willing to help. And your mind is creating those thoughts in your head of reasons why it's okay to stay. But you're free, man. You're free. You can leave. You don't have to live that way. I know the way it's set up, it feels like it, but it's not, man. And I'm proud of you trying to find help, Adam. And I'm here to say, man, I understand. I see it. I understand. I see it on a daily basis, man. You're going to get through it, man. You're going to get through it. I believe in you. I'm sure the listeners believe in you. You're going to get through it. You're going to push through it. And when you get through it, man, listen, when you get through it, I want you to write back into the podcast, man. I want you to email, even if it's just a personal email. And tell me how good it feels, man, to be free from that situation. I'm proud of you, man. And men, any man listening to this podcast right now, we gotta be better, man. We gotta be better with conveying those feelings. We gotta be better with those hard conversations. We gotta be better at building that ground level, man. Because women are here right now, man. When it comes to the aspects of getting their voices out, being heard, having avenues for help, agencies, programs. We're here, man. We're at the bottom. Because we don't convey those emotions. We don't have those hard conversations. So nobody thinks we need that construct. Nobody thinks we need those programs. Nobody thinks we need those agencies. Nobody thinks that men are going through anything this profound. We haven't, as men, made it important enough to be recognized. We have to make it be recognized. We have to speak out about it. We have to be advocates for it. We have to be adamant about it. We have to be passionate about it. We have to be willing to have those hard conversations and be willing to look soft sometimes, to look emotional sometimes, to peel back those hard layers that we have, those calluses that we built in these type of situations with domestic violence. We have to be willing to show ourselves to everybody who we are, how much it hurts, how much pain we're in when it comes to these type of situations. Because you can hide it forever. You can not talk about it all you want. But it never gets better like that. Situations like Adam's in right now, it doesn't get better, man. It doesn't get better unless you make it get better. And we're going to be all right, man, all of us. Men, women, anybody in a domestic violence situation right now and you're listening to this podcast, get out of it, man. Make the move. Make the choice. Find your reason. But it's free. You can leave. There's avenues, there's agencies, there's places, there's people. Find them. Reach out. So, that's the podcast for today, guys. I know it was a heavy podcast, man. I know that a lot of you guys are emotional. A lot of you guys have opinions about this podcast. A lot of you people are probably screaming, and some may even be crying. But if you got something from this podcast today, share it. Because I promise you, your friends, your co-workers, your family members, domestic violence is that prevalent that it's likely somebody is going through it. They need to hear it. Right into the podcast, dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. And before we leave, I just want to say, I'm proud of you guys, man. I'm so proud of you guys. Being able to speak about these things and have these hard conversations that we've been having lately in these last 8 episodes. Having these tough conversations. Being able to get behind your computer and write a letter or an email. To get these emotions out on paper. So somebody else somewhere can have help. You may not know it, but when you're looking for help, you're helping other people. Because somebody somewhere is like, man, damn, I'm not the only one. Somebody else is going through this. I'm proud of you guys, man. I really am. Thanks for tuning in to episode 8. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.